Boxing King Media in association with Boxer, Top Ranks DuBOEF. Todd, a big fight not announced, it's obviously getting made. We're a couple of days away from it. A lot of the fans were against it, but I feel like there's a bit of magic and a bit of excitement building now.
Well, I mean, it's Tyson Fury. I mean, he always creates excitement. He always creates magic. So, you know, I think the sport needs him, and we love having him in the sport. And when he says he's going to retire, everyone's like, come on. And now he says, I want to fight every month. And we're like, yes. So it's great to have him in the ring.
Do you believe him when he comes out with them sort of statements, I'm going to retire, and there's obviously bets going across now where he's saying he's going to stand toe-to-toe with him. Do you believe stuff like that?
You know, Tyson always has a surprise for us. So, you know, 1 minute he says one thing, 1 minute he says the other. But, you know, I think we all go for the ride, and he keeps delivering.
What are your expectations this Saturday night? Do you think Tyson just kind of goes in there, steamrolls Chisora, or is he going to carry him? Because that is the general consensus amongst fans and most boxing experts.
Well, I mean, I don't think Tyson's style is to steamroll anybody. I mean, he's never been that type of fighter. I think he's very smart. He's got great feet, great hands, quick, great boxer. So I don't think he's not a Mike Tyson bully that goes in there and tries to get you out in one. Unlike what Deontay Wilder, that was Wilder's strategy. So I think you're going to just see a very calculated Tyson, and I think he wants to get the ring rust off. He loves being in the ring, and we want to keep him active.
Am I right in saying, if there is an upset, and it'd be one of the biggest upsets of all time, is there a rematch clause in this fight?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not 100% sure. You know, there obviously would be some protections if there was an upset, but obviously in this situation, you know, Tyson's wants to stay active. Chisora was the right fight at the right time, and obviously he's looking forward to bringing all the belts together sometime in 2023.
And talking of obviously 2023, Tyson's joked about the bum a month tour, but you know, realistically speaking, stuff like that happened back in the day with Joe Louis, but financially, could it even happen? Obviously, Tyson would have to take a huge pay cut, and TV companies would have to probably spread the money across over 12 months if he was willing to fight 12 times a year.
Well, I mean, it really comes down to frequency. You know, when you have frequency and what the expectation is. I made the analogy to somebody else, like when Ray Leonard fought Benitez, it was the 9th fight of the year for him when he fought Benitez. So it's all about how frequent you want to be. You know, Oscar De La Hoya had 5 fights in his peak in 1 year, which was not unreasonable, and they were all handsome fights. So, you know, with big money. So I think it's all depends on what the opposition is, what the expectation is, and obviously to have these athletes fighting as frequent as possible is good for the sport and good for the awareness of their profile.
And how many fights does Tyson have left in his top rank deal? Is it beyond this fight?
Yeah, we have protections beyond this fight in a relationship, and it's been a great relationship, and we love, he was an important part of when we activated ESPN in the United States, getting his personality out there, and we think it works really well together.
And obviously everyone's expecting the Usyk fight next. Have talks actually begun with people in Saudi Arabia? Because everyone's assuming if the fight gets made, it will be in Saudi.
Well, I mean, I think there's been this on-off relationship with trying to get the unification done, and it goes back probably 2 years. And so I think there is a possibility that it gets reignited. And I think both guys want it. I mean, I think Usyk, the reason why we're here is Usyk couldn't go in December. So let's hope that we have a good relationship with both guys and good relationship with their advisors, and I think they both want it. So I think the only thing standing in the way would be all of us involved, and I don't think anyone is going to stand in the way.
And if it was a choice between USA, the UK, and say the UAE or the Arab world, more realistically, which one of the three is going to be leading?
I don't think there's a leading one. I think you just weigh all the circumstances surrounding all of them, right? And what happens in the UK, what are the economics, and we got to sit down with the fighters who are the beneficiaries of it, most of the revenue. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. From a selfish perspective, I love being in America because I'm closer to my bed, but I don't mind being here. And I just came from Qatar, which was wonderful for the World Cup. So I understand what's going on in the Arab world, which is magnificent what they're doing for sport. So I'm all in on all of it.
So I want to ask you about a couple of other things. Devin Haney, how many fights does he have left with Top Rank, and what is the plan going forward for Devin Haney?
We're talking about Devin, and he's going to give us what he wants to do. I think in the next couple months. Obviously, people are talking a lot about a Loma fight, and does he want to stay at 135 and do Loma, or does he want to go up and wait and go to 40 and possibly come off something with Teofimo, who's fighting next week in Madison Square Garden?
There's a lot of back and forth between Teofimo, Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, you've got Shakur in-house as well. Could we see something crazy like maybe Shakur Stevenson versus Devin Haney?
Love to do it. Love to do that fight. Love the personalities. They have a long history together. I think there's so many great matches at 35 and 40 between all of them. I mean, Shakur he's just coming up to 35, but he's a big 30-pounder as it was. So I could see him even fighting at 40. So you really look at, Devin, Loma, Shakur at 35. And at 40, and you have Teofimo now going to 40, and you have Jose Ramirez up there. You have a lot of great matches in a lot of those divisions.
Quick word on Emiliano Vargas. Been following his career from the amateur days. You guys have just signed him up. What is the future plans with him? Because he's got potential to be a global superstar, like the Ryan Garcia effect potentially.
You hit it on the head. We had an analysis of, our matchmaker saw Ryan early on. I don't think we actually took. Saw his projection. I don't think anybody did, and saw how good he is on the social platforms and using his personality. I think he's come a long way as a boxer, and he's done magnificent stuff socially. I think Emiliano's very similar. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Fernando early on. When I remember Fernando, that look and he had that presence as an amateur coming out of the when he was in the amateurs. And he has a great presence on social platform right now, Emiliano. And if he keeps using that and using both of them and improving as a fighter, I think he checks all the boxes.
He sure does. And the last question, you guys have got a lot of other young fighters as well, not as socially big as Emiliano, but could you drop us maybe a couple of names that the British fans can keep an eye out for from Top Rank?
Well, I mean, you have coming out of the class, you have Richard Torres. We signed the entire U.S. Olympic team. So you have Richard Torres, you have Duke Reagan, Troy Isley, Keyshawn is special, obviously, too. I think Shushu is fun. I mean, he in the amateurs was a boxer and then came into the pro scene and likes to knock people out. You have Jared, who we're going to see coming up next week. And, because of the injury this last year, it's been a little slow for him. But once he gets rolling, I'd love to get him fighting every other month because he's a special talent, too, and young. And obviously, heavyweights we love.
Tell you one fighter I like, Lindolfo Delgado, because I watched him spar Virgil Ortiz about 4 years ago, and none of you guys have signed him since. Amazing fighter.
The last fight we just did with him was with really two young prospects coming out of Mexico, and you really saw it was a terrific fight. You saw his pedigree, right? The amateur pedigree that he had really elevated. And he had a great performance, and he really delivered. It was time. The door opened, he stepped through and really showed up. So we're excited about him, too.
I hope the fans follow him because he rides horses, does all sorts of crazy stuff back in Mexico. So good things you guys are doing at Top Rank, and I appreciate your time, Todd.
Thanks a lot, and we love the support from everybody.